Everybody, Brian Good here with Storm Talk. My goal is to be quicker with this today and still hit all the points. All right, here's the setup. We've been talking about this in a lot of detail the past several days. We got a boundary here that is off to our north this morning across the Midwest area. Little impulse is going to push across the Ohio Valley today. It's going to pull down that boundary, though, behind it in its wake, like a little cold front, if you will, that'll drag into our central areas of wave country. Just how far south, a little questionable, because we still got this high here to the south that is still fairly strong, so it'll have its limits how far south it can go, and that's kind of a big question, because tomorrow it'll start off wherever that spot is and then head back north. But then the next question would be, how far north does it go? Is it going to go all the way up to I-70, or between, say, Seymour and I-70, or is it going to be closer to 64, or even right along 64? And that's what we got to figure out for Friday. Either way, it should still keep going, though, as we into Friday night, way to our north, ahead of the low pressure of the main low itself. As it moves in, it'll pull it north, and then we have nothing but the cold front then to deal with. That'll pass through here as we head into Saturday afternoon. Still the same issue on Saturday. Are we going to destabilize or not? So when it comes to the risk today, right along with that boundary is being pulled down today, southern Indiana, northern Kentucky. Tomorrow, it's where the warm front goes back north. And the reason why it's a slight risk back here to the west, that's ahead of the main low at that point beginning to roll out with the cold front there to our west. But we'll see how much energy is involved here. And again, it depends on what the warm front is as we head into Friday. And then as we head into Saturday, the low is going to move on by to the east. Now, again, the closer to the low pressure is where your best shear is going to be. That's a little more of a certainty. That's the reason why they got the marginal. However, if we are able to destabilize, we may see an extension of that to the southwest to include parts of Kentucky and perhaps even parts of the Way Country. But it looks like SBC is going to wait a little bit longer until we get a better handle on if we can get some sun tapping or not before the front moves through on Saturday. That'll affect the rain chance too. Okay, so let's talk about this. As we head into Futurecast, here's that boundary being pulled down this afternoon. So between now and, say, 3 o'clock, a few isolated thunderstorms may develop. The latest meso analysis I was looking at really only shows this area prime for maybe an isolated shower or thunderstorm through at least 3 or 4 o'clock. Areas to the east of that, I just don't see it happening. So again, an isolated downpour to the west, that'll give us a chance, especially in Louisville, to increase into the lower 90s this afternoon. But that boundary will become more active as it pushes down into southern areas of Indiana, approaching Kentucky as we into the nighttime hours tonight. And then at that point, we got to again see how strong this ridge of high pressure is to our south, determines how far south it'll go. Now, I've drawn it all the way into about the I-64 corridor. We'll wait and see how it goes. Make sure to watch Kevin this evening for an update. But we will likely have thunderstorms along it throughout the overnight period. Nothing widespread, but there could be several rolling through, and perhaps more than one for the same area. And so if you're a light sleeper, not the best of nights, potentially. And then Friday, we'll see it and push back north. Now, this is what I was talking about, the warm front. How far north does it go? How active is it going to get in this warm sector that develops here as we head into Friday afternoon and evening? Still some questions to answer on Friday. If we end up with a partly sunny sky developing by Friday afternoon, again, we're in the warm sector, so we can easily get back into the 90s again. At this point, we're betting on such cloud cover and overnight rain from Thursday night into Friday morning that it's going to be a slower warming period, but I wouldn't rule out 90 on Friday. We also got to watch areas along that front because, again, the marginal risk is generally north of us on Friday, but it's because of the sheared environment along frontal boundaries that we deal with, and especially a warm front. And then Saturday, here comes the actual cold front itself. Again, morning clouds and showers. Here's the question. As we approach noon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, are we going to see the thinning of the clouds and get some sunshine to break through? Now, the models are struggling when that will happen. They're trying to hint at it, and look what happens. As soon as that happens, right along the front, we begin to get thunderstorms to pop, and then that races to the east. Now, this particular run of the NAM model is indicating that it's going to be mainly eastern Kentucky, east of 65, that will be under the gun for that, and a lot of us could get skipped along the Louisville area, and if you're west of 65, you may be skipped completely. It may develop or pop on the radar east of our area. So, some questions on all these setups here, but that's how the general trend is going to be before we get to nice weather on Sunday. Now, let me show you the Schreff model. This really explains a bit about the indices here when we look at potential how strong they will be. You're looking at your potential for instability or capes. And, you know, the black lines average all the different model ideas that it has, but in general, we're looking about, later on today, close to 2,000. Decent amount of instability. I can see why we're under a marginal risk, just for that indicator alone. Tomorrow, a little more instability. Potential to get some higher dew points, maybe some sunshine, and again the warm fronts passing to the north, so instability is there. And not as much on Saturday. It's there, but not as much. And then, of course, we lose it completely on Sunday. Now, looking at the wind shear along the actual boundaries moving through. 40 knots is usually my benchmark that I look for. As we get into the short term, overall, about 20 to 25 knots, not that impressive. The high shear is actually along the front itself on Saturday, but if we don't have the instability, it ain't going to happen. And look at the dew point, around 70 to 75, so very humid, heavy downpours around, and then really tanks as dry air and works its way in. That's when we see the temperatures too tank Sunday night in the 50s in many areas, so looking good there. Look at the sounding here for this afternoon. This is the ground level looking up. This is marginal severe risk, mainly because it's all wind arrows basically out of the west and southwest, so it's a little bit of speed shear, some gusty winds. Can't rule it out. There's not a lot of wind to talk about though. Tomorrow it says tornado on the indicator here, and the reason for that is directional shear. Look at that arrow at the surface, southeast at the ground level, and then it goes up and increases in speed from the west. But it's not off the chain, but just enough that, yeah, there could be an isolated spin up. Not going to rule it out with this warm front. More so than anything, probably just rotating thunderstorms. Not every rotating thunderstorm, by the way, develops a tornado warning or even tornado. Most strong thunderstorm cells actually rotate. And then as we head into the front on Saturday again, potential for isolated severe weather along that front there. Looking at the longer term, it still looks like we're looking at this Rex-like type of block here where we could see the cooler area being limited mainly to our north. We'll probably be in the rain zone out of that, although the later month period is still showing that we could see perhaps an invasion of cooler air. We will keep an eye on that, so stay tuned for more on that. So Kevin will have an update today at 5.